She walked into the hotel like any other guest, quiet and unnoticed. But what the hotel manager didn't know was that this woman was about to be the center of a shocking twist, one that would change everything. It was a busy day at the Golden Crest Hotel, a five-star luxury hotel known for its opulence, elegance, and high-profile clientele. The kind of place where rich business tycoons, celebrities, and politicians checked in for a weekend retreat, seeking privacy and peace. Every corner gleamed with the polished perfection of an upscale establishment, crystal chandeliers, sleek marble floors, and staff members dressed in pristine uniforms. The hotel was a fortress of luxury. On the surface, everything appeared perfect. The guests were treated like royalty, the service was impeccable, and the staff worked tirelessly to keep everything running smoothly. But beneath the polished surface, the Golden Crest Hotel was about to become the setting for a shocking chain of events that no one could have imagined. The hotel manager was at the center of it all. Her name was Rebecca Walsh, a woman known for her cold professionalism and strict adherence to rules. Rebecca had worked at the Golden Crest for over a decade, and her reputation was as flawless as the hotel's reputation itself. She was feared and respected by her team. She demanded perfection from everyone around her, her staff, her guests, and herself. Rebecca was the kind of person who didn't tolerate mistakes. Her eyes missed nothing, and her sharp, no-nonsense approach made her the perfect manager for such a prestigious establishment. She could spot an unkempt suit from across the room, and if someone dared break the rules, even the smallest ones, Rebecca made sure they regretted it. Her authority was absolute. And today, like every other day, she was running things with meticulous precision. But little did Rebecca know, she was about to encounter someone who would make her rethink everything she thought she knew about people. A guest she would treat with disdain without realizing who she truly was. Kate Cassidy entered the lobby quietly, her presence barely noticed by anyone except the bellboy who politely greeted her at the door. She was a woman in her mid-20s, with an almost ethereal calm about her. She didn't seem to belong in the grand lobby, and she wasn't trying to stand out. Her clothes were simple, nothing too flashy, but enough to show that she was someone who didn't need to flaunt wealth. There was a quiet elegance about her. Kate was here for a break, hoping to escape the stresses of her life. She wasn't one for attention, preferring the solitude that came with being in a quiet, luxurious space. She smiled politely at the receptionist as she checked in, grateful for the brief respite from the chaos of the world outside. She had no idea that this simple getaway would soon turn into a nightmare. As Kate stood at the front desk, Rebecca Walsh observed her from a distance. She didn't know why, but something about this woman rubbed her the wrong way. Perhaps it was the way she didn't seem to fit in with the usual crowd, or maybe it was because Kate wasn't acting like the typical guest who sought luxury. Rebecca didn't know it yet, but Kate was not just an ordinary guest. She was far more connected to a tragic event that had left the world in shock, an event that had touched Liam Payne's life and, ultimately, his death. But this wasn't the moment to get lost in thoughts. Rebecca's job was to make sure everything went smoothly, and to her that meant keeping the hotel spotless, guests happy, and her reputation intact. What she didn't expect was for Kate Cassidy, a woman she saw as just another quiet guest, to become the cause of a scandal that would change everything. Since Liam's death, Kate had been through an emotional roller coaster. The media had latched onto every detail of her grief, often making assumptions and twisting the story into something it wasn't. She found herself overwhelmed by the constant spotlight, the endless questions, and the cruel headlines that seemed to chase her at every turn. She had tried to keep her relationship with Liam as private as possible, but when you're dating someone as famous as he was, privacy becomes a luxury you can't afford. The truth was, Kate hadn't fully processed Liam's death. How could she? Every day she was reminded of it, not just by her memories, but by the flashing cameras, the reporters who constantly rang her phone, and the cruel words online. She was tired. Tired of the world's expectations, tired of the endless scrutiny, and tired of having to pretend everything was okay. This vacation was her attempt to take a breath, to get away from the noise, the media frenzy, and the emotional weight of the past few months. She wasn't looking for answers or to escape the grief completely. She simply needed time for herself, a chance to sit with her emotions in peace, away from the cameras that seemed to follow her every move. As Kate Cassidy walked into the lavish lobby of the Golden Crest Hotel, she wasn't looking for trouble. She didn't want to stand out, and she certainly didn't want to draw attention to herself. Her eyes scanned the opulent surroundings as she approached the front desk for check-in. She was here for peace, for silence, and a much-needed break from the chaotic world outside. However, as soon as she handed over her ID, things took a turn. The receptionist, after a quick glance at the computer screen, gave her a confused look. Kate wasn't sure what was going on, but it seemed like there was a mix-up with her reservation. A small issue, perhaps a name mismatch or an error in the booking system, but nothing that should have been a problem. Yet, Rebecca Walsh, the hotel manager, was standing nearby, watching everything unfold. Rebecca, always alert and quick to jump into action, stepped forward. She didn't ask what the issue was. Instead, her eyes narrowed as she looked at Kate. "Rebecca, what's going on here? Why isn't everything in order?" The receptionist tried to explain, but Rebecca interrupted her sharply. "Rebecca, no excuses. This is the Golden Crest, not some budget motel. We don't tolerate mistakes like this. You've caused enough trouble already." Kate, already feeling the weight of being in the public eye, remained calm, trying to explain that it was just a minor misunderstanding. She had nothing to hide and was simply here to get some rest. But Rebecca, seemingly irritated, wasn't having it. "Rebecca, I don't care about your excuses. This hotel doesn't have time for people who don't follow the rules. We've had enough problems already, and now you're causing more." Her voice was sharp, and the words stung. Kate hadn't expected this kind of treatment, especially not from someone in a place of authority. But she kept her composure, feeling the sting of the manager's reprimanding words. The situation could have been resolved with a little patience, but Rebecca, already feeling the need to assert her dominance, wasn't interested in resolving it quietly. She was on a roll, her anger escalating as she raised her voice, drawing the attention of a few other guests nearby. "Rebecca, you know, you may be used to being pampered in other places, but here, you're just another person, and you'll be treated like one no matter who you think you are." Kate stood there, stunned. She couldn't understand why this was happening. She had done nothing to deserve this kind of treatment. But the hotel manager's insults didn't stop there. The words Rebecca said next would change everything. "Rebecca, maybe you're used to the limelight, huh? Maybe you're used to the media fawning over you. But guess what? You're nothing special here. And you know what? You're probably the reason why Liam Payne's dead." The words hit Kate like a slap across the face. For a moment, everything around her seemed to blur. The guests, the hotel lobby, the noise. It all faded into the background. Rebecca, continuing, "You think we didn't notice? You think we didn't hear the rumors? You and your so-called relationship with him. Maybe you were the cause of everything that happened. His fall, his death. Maybe if you had just stayed out of the way, he wouldn't have been so messed up. Maybe he would still be alive today. You're responsible for his death." The accusation hung in the air like a dark cloud. Kate felt her chest tighten, her breath short. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. The words were cruel, baseless, yet somehow they felt so real. The manager had no idea what she was saying, no idea of the real circumstances behind Liam's tragic death. Liam's death had been a shock to the world. The rumors surrounding it were endless. Some said it was a suicide. Others blamed the intense media pressure he had been under for years. There were whispers that his relationships, especially his struggles with Kate, had contributed to his emotional spiral. People speculated about his fall from the hotel balcony, each theory darker than the last. But Kate knew the truth, and it was something no one could ever understand. Liam had been a kind soul, struggling with his own demons. His death wasn't caused by her or anyone else. It was the culmination of years of unseen pain. Yet here, in front of these strangers, Rebecca was accusing her of being the cause of it all. Rebecca, you're just another girl in the spotlight, using him to climb your way up. You ruined him. You're the reason he's dead. The words stung deeper than Kate could ever imagine. She could feel the tears pricking at the back of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. This wasn't just an insult. It was an attack on her grief, on her relationship with Liam, on everything they had been through together. Kate didn't say anything at first. She was numb, unsure how to respond to such cruelty. But the audience of guests in the lobby was watching to see how she would react. Rebecca, feeling the power of her position, stood tall, confident that she had broken Kate down. Now, Kate flashing back the memories of his boyfriend's death. It was a night that seemed like any other until it wasn't. Liam Payne, the beloved former member of One Direction, had been staying at a high-end hotel in London after a few months of media silence. Despite being known worldwide, Liam had always struggled with the weight of fame. Beneath the glitz and glamour of his celebrity status, he battled personal demons that no one truly understood. But on that night, everything took a horrific turn. The exact details of what happened remain unclear. What was supposed to be a quiet evening in his hotel room quickly spiraled out of control. Liam had been seen on his hotel's balcony, standing alone in the early hours of the morning. Was he looking for peace, or was he trapped in his thoughts, struggling with something deeper? Suddenly, the unthinkable happened. In a split second, Liam's life was taken from him as he fell from the hotel balcony. The world stood still as the news spread across every major news outlet. Theories immediately began to fly. Was it a tragic accident, a result of too much alcohol, or something darker, something far more sinister? Tragic fall, Liam Payne's last moments. Was it suicide? Speculation surrounds Liam Payne's fatal fall. Famous star found dead after balcony plunge, but what really happened? The media had their theories, and they weren't shy about sharing them. Every angle was covered. Some said it was an accident, a slip, a moment of weakness. Others pointed to the pressure of fame, claiming that Liam had taken his own life, overwhelmed by the darkness that lurked beneath his public persona. And then there were those who said the truth was darker still, that Liam's death was connected to those closest to him, the people he trusted most. The whispers started to spread, and some began to blame Kate, suggesting that their tumultuous relationship had been a contributing factor. After all, the rumors about their rocky moments were well known in the gossip columns. But amidst all this speculation, there was only one person who truly knew the pain and the heartache that Liam had carried for years, Kate Cassidy. And she wasn't ready to share it with anyone. She had tried to keep their relationship out of the spotlight, tried to protect him from the world's expectations. She didn't want to be part of the headlines. When news of Liam's death broke, Kate was shattered, broken in ways that words could never fully capture. The man she loved was gone, and the world was already pointing fingers. The media didn't care about the truth. They only cared about the story they could sell. Kate knew that some people would blame her, whether it was fair or not. The rumors flooded social media, the endless questions, the invasion of her grief. They didn't care that she was struggling to keep it together, to make sense of the chaos that had overtaken her life. All Kate wanted was peace. Peace from the world, from the cameras, from the speculation. But the moment she stepped into the public eye again, everything became about Liam's death. And now, even here, at the Golden Crest Hotel, she couldn't escape the weight of what had happened. A bellboy, who had been standing nearby, overheard the confrontation. His eyes widened as he rushed to the scene, moving quickly toward the front desk. Bellboy, in a calm yet firm tone, "Excuse me, ma'am. You should know who you're speaking to." Rebecca turned toward him, clearly irritated. She was in the middle of lecturing Kate and wasn't in the mood to be interrupted. But something in the bellboy's demeanor made her pause. "Bellboy, this isn't just any guest you're insulting, ma'am. You've just publicly humiliated Kate Cassidy, Liam Payne's girlfriend." For a split second, time seemed to stop. Rebecca's eyes widened, her lips parted in disbelief. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. She stared at Kate, her eyes scanning her face in shock and horror. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just any woman she had insulted. This was Liam Payne's girlfriend, the same woman who had been grieving his tragic death, the same woman who had been dragged through the mud by the media and public speculation. And Rebecca had just accused her of being responsible for his fall. Rebecca's face turned pale, the arrogant mask she had worn so confidently now slipping away. Her heart pounded as the guilt settled in. She had no idea who Kate was when she started berating her, but now the gravity of her words was suffocating. She had humiliated someone who was already carrying the heaviest burden of all, the loss of someone she loved deeply. For a moment, Rebecca stood frozen. The hotel lobby was eerily silent, and all eyes were now on her. The once confident manager was suddenly speechless, her pride shattered. She had crossed a line she couldn't take back. Kate stood there, still processing the revelation. She had been accused, belittled, and blamed for something that wasn't her fault. But now, in the presence of everyone, she was not only Liam Payne's girlfriend, she was the woman who had been unfairly blamed for his death. Now Kate is, flashing back the memories of his boyfriend's death. It was a night that seemed like any other until it wasn't. Liam Payne, the beloved former member of One Direction, had been staying at a high-end hotel in London after a few months of media silence. Despite being known worldwide, Liam had always struggled with the weight of fame. Beneath the glitz and glamour of his celebrity status, he battled personal demons that no one truly understood. But on that night, everything took a horrific turn. The exact details of what happened remain unclear. What was supposed to be a quiet evening in his hotel room quickly spiraled out of control. Liam had been seen on his hotel's balcony, standing alone in the early hours of the morning. Was he looking for peace, or was he trapped in his thoughts, struggling with something deeper? Suddenly, the unthinkable happened. In a split second, Liam's life was taken from him as he fell from the hotel balcony. The world stood still as the news spread across every major news outlet. Theories immediately began to fly. Was it a tragic accident, a result of too much alcohol, or something darker, something far more sinister? Tragic fall, Liam Payne's last moments. Was it suicide? Speculation surrounds Liam Payne's fatal fall. Famous star found dead after balcony plunge, but what really happened? The media had their theories, and they weren't shy about sharing them. Every angle was covered. Some said it was an accident, a slip, a moment of weakness. Others pointed to the pressure of fame, claiming that Liam had taken his own life, overwhelmed by the darkness that lurked beneath his public persona. And then there were those who said the truth was darker still, that Liam's death was connected to those closest to him, the people he trusted most. The whispers started to spread, and some began to blame Kate, suggesting that their tumultuous relationship had been a contributing factor. After all, the rumors about their rocky moments were well known in the gossip columns. But amidst all this speculation, there was only one person who truly knew the pain and the heartache that Liam had carried for years, Kate Cassidy, and she wasn't ready to share it with anyone. She had tried to keep their relationship out of the spotlight, tried to protect him from the world's expectations. She didn't want to be part of the headlines. When news of Liam's death broke, Kate was shattered, broken in ways that words could never fully capture. The man she loved was gone, and the world was already pointing fingers. The media didn't care about the truth. They only cared about the story they could sell. Kate knew that some people would blame her, whether it was fair or not. The rumors flooded social media, the endless questions, the invasion of her grief. They didn't care that she was struggling to keep it together, to make sense of the chaos that had overtaken her life. All Kate wanted was peace. Peace from the world, from the cameras, from the speculation. But the moment she stepped into the public eye again, everything became about Liam's death. And now, even here, at the Golden Crest Hotel, she couldn't escape the weight of what had happened. Rebecca stood in shock, her mind racing as Kate's words echoed in her head. The reality of what she had just done sank in, slowly, painfully. She had just attacked a woman who had been through more than anyone could imagine, a woman who had lost someone she loved deeply, and instead of offering any sympathy, Rebecca had torn her apart in front of strangers. The manager's mouth went dry, and for the first time her confidence faltered. Her gaze dropped to the floor, then slowly lifted to meet Kate's calm, unwavering stare. The guilt hit her like a wave. There were no excuses. She had crossed a line. "Rebecca, I am so sorry." The apology felt weak, hollow. The damage was done. The manager, Rebecca, struggled to find the right words. Her hands shook slightly as she attempted to apologize once more, but Kate's presence, calm yet firm, made it clear that words alone would not fix the damage. "Rebecca, I'm so sorry, Kate. I didn't know. I didn't mean—" But Kate cut her off, her voice steady, but the raw emotion behind it clear. "Kate, no, you didn't know. You never could have. Because what you said, what everyone says, it's not the truth." The room seemed to grow colder, the tension hanging thick. As Kate took a step closer to Rebecca, her eyes didn't waver, the weight of her next words pressing down on everyone in the room. "Kate, Liam wasn't just some celebrity in the spotlight living a perfect life. He was a human being, a person who felt things deeply, more than anyone could imagine. The truth is, Liam was struggling. He was drowning under the pressure of his own life. The media, the fans, they all saw him as someone to admire, but they didn't see the person behind all that fame. No one ever did. The manager stood motionless, unable to respond, as Kate continued to reveal the secrets that had been buried for so long. Kate. Liam was lonely. He felt like he was losing himself, like he didn't know who he was anymore. People think it was just a fall, that he lost his balance, but Liam didn't just fall that night. He wasn't himself. He was fighting his own demons, battling depression, and no one around him knew how deep it went. Kate's voice cracked slightly, but she steadied herself. The pain was evident, but there was also a quiet strength in her words. She wasn't looking for sympathy. She wasn't trying to make anyone feel sorry for her. She simply wanted the truth to be heard. The real story. Kate. The rumors, the speculations about what happened that night, they're all wrong. No one knew what he was really going through. I couldn't save him from the darkness that was consuming him, no matter how much I loved him. Rebecca's face shifted. The anger she had once felt began to dissipate, replaced by guilt and an overwhelming sense of shame. She stood there, silent, as the weight of Kate's words hit her. As Kate finished speaking, the manager's hands trembled. The full realization of her actions struck her like a hammer. It wasn't just that she had insulted a grieving woman, it was that she had unknowingly been part of a much larger narrative of cruelty. She had judged Kate, just like the media had judged Liam. She had assumed things about them both without understanding the true story. She had made Kate the scapegoat for something that was far beyond her control. Rebecca's eyes filled with regret and her voice faltered as she tried again to apologize. "Rebecca, I'm so sorry, Kate. I had no idea. I should have never said those things. I was wrong. Please forgive me." But Kate didn't answer immediately. She simply stood there, her eyes meeting Rebecca's with an expression of quiet disappointment. The apology was hollow. The damage had already been done. No amount of words could undo the pain that had been caused. The weight of the situation sank in deeper for the hotel manager. She had been part of a long, unbroken chain of judgment, feeding into the narratives built on assumptions and false truths. Kate had opened her heart and shared the hardest parts of her life with her, a woman she barely knew, because she needed someone to understand the truth. She needed someone to hear her story. And in that moment, Rebecca realized that her mistake wasn't just a personal one. It was part of a much larger problem, one where people were judged and discarded based on nothing but rumors. The realization hit harder than the insult itself. As Kate silently walked away, the manager was left to reflect on the consequences of her words. The guilt she felt wasn't something that could be easily shaken off. She had crossed a line, one that couldn't be undone by an apology. She had been a part of the problem, a person who assumed, who judged without knowing, who hurt someone already grieving. She had been a reflection of everything that had wronged Kate in the eyes of the public, and in that quiet moment, Rebecca realized just how much her actions had amplified the hurt Kate had been living with. And as Kate disappeared down the hallway, Rebecca couldn't help but wonder just how many others out there were also being silently crushed under the weight of assumptions, people who, like Kate, only wanted their truth to be heard. After revealing the painful truth, Kate stood silently for a moment, allowing her words to settle in the room. The heavy air hung between them, filled with sorrow and regret. She could see the guilt in the manager's eyes, but it didn't matter now. "Kate, I don't need your apology. I didn't come here to get it. I came here to get away from the world, to get away from people who think they know what happened to Liam when they don't have a clue." She paused, her gaze unwavering. "Kate, I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be judged or misunderstood anymore. If you can't offer that, then I don't need anything from you." With those final words, Kate turned and walked away from the confrontation, her footsteps echoing through the quiet lobby. The manager watched her leave, her own thoughts spiraling, as the weight of the moment finally sunk in. Rebecca stood motionless for several seconds, her mind spinning as she processed everything Kate had just said. Her anger, her judgment, all of it felt misplaced now, foolish even. She had attacked someone who was grieving, someone who had suffered the ultimate loss and had only added to her pain. Rebecca felt a cold wave of shame wash over her, and for the first time, she truly reflected on her actions. How could she have been so quick to judge? How could she have let her own assumptions shape her treatment of someone who, in reality, was battling an unimaginable heartbreak? She thought about the world outside, the media, the rumors, the endless noise. How many people, like Kate, were suffering in silence, burdened by the weight of others' opinions, misunderstood by those who had no idea what they were truly going through? Rebecca realized that it was far too easy to judge someone based on a single moment, a single encounter. But the truth was far more complicated. People weren't just their mistakes, their rumors, or the assumptions made about them. The quiet ones, the ones who seemed unaffected, those were the ones who often needed the most compassion. As Kate disappeared into the hallway, Rebecca stood there, her mind still reeling, but her heart a little heavier, a little wiser. Now that you've heard the full story, we want to know what you think. Who do you believe is truly responsible for Liam Payne's tragic death? Was it the pressures of fame, the people around him, or something more hidden beneath the surface? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss.